So, hello. I'm Christine. What is that in the background there? Oh. It's just my hanging wardrobe freaking me out a little bit there. But there we go. As I said, I'm Christine. Thank you for joining me today. Today we are working through the crown chakra, which is kind of up here. So obviously you've got the crown of your head, and the chakra corresponds to that part of the body. So the crown chakra, we'll get comfortable. Is represented by either violet or white. And it's stimulated by meditation, silence, reading and or learning, and teaching, in fact, as well. And it's blocked by lack of focus, too much meditation, so you can have too much of a good thing, and being disconnected from nature and the outside world. When it's blocked, it can feel like depression, sensitivity to light and sound, emotional issues, sleep problems, exhaustion, migraines. Yeah, so that's that. We're now going to get into the class, which is going to take about an hour or so, maybe a bit longer. I've got quite a lot I'd like to share with you today. There'll be a lot of options for being upside down in various forms. So Eliza B, and of course I'll give you options as always. So we're going to start standing, work through some sun salutations a couple of times, do some more standing poses, and then we'll work our way down to the floor. Okay, so I'm going to put some, I know silence is great for the crown chakra, but as I've done with all the others, I'm going to put a little bit of music on in the background, just for something nice to have, keep things going. So that's going to be things like singing bowls and sound bath kind of music. So there we go. I'll be moving my moving my mat around as per normal, I expect. Please forgive me. I didn't sleep very well last night, but I wanted to get this recorded and share this with you. So there we go. It's down a little bit. Don't need it too loud. No, down. There we go. All right. Okay, so here we go. With those. See if I can turn the mat this time. I've created a bit more space today. Okay. All right. So let's start with some sun salutations. I'm coming back here so you can see. I'm going to take the arms up. Little back bend. Folding forwards into that half forward fold, flat back. Hanging the arms long. Fingertips down to the floor. Palms down. Stepping back into plank. Then downward facing dog. Walking the knees. Coming forward, either down through hands and knees. I'll come down this way now. Upper body down. And up into cobra. back into child's pose. When you feel ready, come back onto all fours, tuck the toes under, and lift the knees. Either step or take three-legged dog into a lunge. And coming up. Drawing the shoulders back and down. Little back bend here if you like. And we'll come forward, fingertips down to the floor, cupcake hands. And then step forward with that other foot. Arms long. Hands on the shins. And then we're drawing in and up. Back bend and falling forward. We'll do the other side now. Hands to the shins. Fingertips to the floor. Stepping back into plank. Then downward facing dog. Coming forward into plank, then knees down or down through chaturanga, whichever you like. And up into cobra. Then back into child's pose. Walking the hands in, and we're coming up, backwards more, into downward facing dog. Stepping the other foot forward, and up into that lunge. Holding forward, stepping through with both feet now. Ragdoll with the arms. Hands to the shins, flat back. And then we're slowly coming up, taking the arms up above the head and down to your heart. Let's stay standing, and we're coming now into mountain pose. After this, we're moving into tree. All right, so mountain pose, feet hip width apart, or thereabouts. You can move them closer if you like. Hip width suits me best. Shoulders back and down, arms facing forward. 4 or 5 breaths here. Okay, now we're going to move into tree. So we're going to turn the right foot. You can place the heel just above the inside of the ankle, on the inside of the lower leg, above the knee, across the front, or if you like, on a block, any way you like. I'm going to stay quite low today. Whatever you feel appropriate to do with your hands, you might like to find a surface to support you. You might like to take them into prayer, or they could be out doing any crazy thing you like. This is your class, your expression of every pose. Okay, and after 4 or 5 breaths, we'll move on to the other side. using your focus to help you stay balanced. And coming out. Brilliant. Okay, we're now coming into a bit of folding. So we're going to start off in downward facing dog. We're going to start coming up onto our toes, and then we've got a little flow from cow to downward facing dog, from child's pose. We've also got revolved downward facing dog, so that's where one hand is going to go towards the opposite leg. So let's do the statics first. So that's just downward facing dog, up on the toes, and then the revolution, and then we'll move into the more flowing little sequences. So, however you find is best to come into downward facing dog for you. I'm going to give the option, one that I don't often give, but it's always very valid. You can come into downward dog using blocks as well. So if you're finding a bit of a struggle, maybe, to get your hands down to the floor, you can always do that. Alternatively, downward facing dog, your heels might be up on, yeah, or down. You're coming up onto the toes. This is going to help concentrate our energy into the crown of the head, and therefore the chakra that relates to it. I'm going to lower the knees, give my arms a little break. Not everything has to be done in a big rush. When you're ready, we're going to reset and we will take revolved downward facing dog. So, up we come. And can you see one hand? You might be better off this way now. One hand on the opposite leg. And then the other side. Lovely, and we're coming out. We're coming into one of the two little flows that feature downward facing dog. This one also includes child's pose and cow. So I'll run through this 2 or 3 times. Let's kind of go with the flow, see how we're feeling with it. And then I've got another sequence that also includes downward facing dog. And that's more of your traditional vinyasa, where you come through chaturanga and then into cobra and up into downward facing dog. So let's start slightly more creative one. Begin with, I'll turn sideways. This, so from cow, back through cat into child's pose. The arms stay long, ready to come up. Then we're coming back, up the toes under, and lift the knees. Coming forwards into plank, lowering those knees. Into cow and cat. Back we go into child's pose. Up the toes under, and lift those knees. We'll do this 2 more times at least. You can get a bit of a flow on your own. If you'd like to spend longer than I do, feel free to do so. Flowing with your breath. I'm going to do this one more time, just because it feels right for me. And then we're going to move immediately into the more traditional vinyasa. So from downward facing dog, we're coming down either through chaturanga or all fours. Okay, so here we go. Up you come. Feeling a nice, hopefully, stretch through the backs of the legs. I expect, I certainly am. So forward into plank. Either down through all fours, which I'm going to do now. Elbows close to ribs. And up into cobra. I'm just going to do this one 2 or 3 times. I'm also going to turn face on, because you've seen that quite a few times. And I've also got a little bit more room here. Then into child's pose. At any point you need to rest during any of my classes, feel free to take child's pose. One more time for me, yeah. And then we're moving on, because we've got some wide-legged forward folds to do. I do love a nice little flow sequence. Coming out when you're ready. We're going to start standing. We've got lots of forward folding today. Let's start with hands under the toes in wide leg forward fold. Coming up. I'm going to be quite near the back here, so hopefully you can see me. So we're going to hinge from the hips, lift the toes, fingertips underneath the toes. Feet as wide as you like. And then when you've had enough, come on up and out. We're now coming into a low lunge, which we'll do on both sides. Walk the feet in together. Step one foot forward, other foot back, lower that knee. Allow the top of the foot to rest. Where are you? There. Just resting on the mat. And you can take the arms up if it feels right to do so. And also add in a little back bend if you want to do that as well. Then we're going to swap sides, so straightening out the front leg. We're coming into a kneeling pyramid, so you might want to lift those toes. Can you see my toes wiggling there? I'm going to grab a block on each side. Fold forward. Also, if you'd rather, you can just take your hands to the floor instead of using blocks, that's okay. Okay. We're going to move gently through lizard, just because it's a nice transition from one side to the other. And what you can do here, I'm going to swap legs so that I'm facing the same way. However, if all you want to do is just turn round, all you need to do is walk the hands round, shifting the weight, and then you can come up into a lunge like so. Okay, I'm going to turn my feet round though. So both feet, for me, face the front. Back through lizard, kneeling down, and lifting up into that lovely low lunge. Okay. Setting my weight the right way. I'm also going to walk this back a little bit because I end up very close to the camera and then you can't see anything. So, that's better. Up into the low lunge. Coming down now into pyramid. With or without blocks. Put my toes off the floor, shifting my weight back. And coming out. I'm going to place both hands, on the inside of that front foot. I'm also going to turn side on so you can see as I'm moving up here. So I'm into lizard again, or a shortened version of it. And I'm going to bring both feet standing. Sending my weight in between. So I am in garland pose now. From here, we're moving into camel, And then we're sitting down on the floor. Four or five breaths here. Lovely. Then we're coming down to the floor. And starting in easy pose. Remembering easy pose. It's just cross-legged. If that's not comfortable for you, then maybe extending one leg or just sitting with your legs straight into staff pose, which we'll move into shortly anyway. Now we're going to take one hand, place it on the opposite knee. The other hand comes behind the body. I'm going to turn side on. We're looking over the back shoulder. And then going the other way. We are coming up into camel because we haven't done that yet. I haven't forgotten. Okay. Then when you've had enough twisting, let's come up into camel. any way you like. Bringing yourself up into a high kneel. Option 1, hands on the lower back, pressing the hips forward and leaning backwards. Option 2, finding your solid surface, hands down the back and bending backwards that way. Option 3, blocks in between the legs. Doesn't work for me particularly. And you might like to take one hand off and do one hand at a time. Or option 4, hands to heels, leaning backwards. That's enough for me today. Everything's feeling quite intense. So we're coming back down to the floor into seated bound angle. So soles of the feet together, trying to get everything on the screen for you. Knees out to the sides. If you want to, you might like to place a block under each knee to support the legs so they're not, if they won't go down. You might also like to extend forward across the legs. I'm going to rest my head on my feet. And then after 4 or so breaths there, we're moving up and out. And we're coming now into the variation of garland, which I know we've already been there, but it never hurts to revisit. So I'm going to stand facing the front this time. So this time my shoulder is inside my knee, and then both hands are on the opposite knee. So this really intensifies just by adding a twist. 4. That is intense. If this doesn't feel right for you, just back out and come and take standard garland or take hero pose, just on your knees. And then we're going to swap sides. We're not pressing this knee out. We're just resting the hands on the knee for a bit of support. Coming out of that. I'm going to come down to kneeling and we're going to move now into rabbit. We visited this briefly in the throat chakra, third eye chakra class. However, I'll come into it again. So, starting on hands and knees, looking in as if coming into cat pose. Head to the floor, hands off round by the heels if you like, or they can be long. We're tucking the head in, round by the knees. If you can't get them all the way in, that's absolutely fine. Just taking the crown of the head to the floor. That's the important bit. You might not want to spend very long there. Again, that feels quite restrictive and intense. So what we're going to do, just going to counterpose that by opening the chest. Okay, so I'm going to show you now some inversions. A lot of them we're going to be using the wall. A lot of them maybe not. Options as always. So we're going to start in upward staff pose. We do staff a lot. We'll start on the floor in traditional staff. So legs long. I'm going to lift my hands off the floor just so you can see them a little bit better. Placing the hands by the hips. Back is nice and tall. Sitting up nice and straight. And then after 4 or 5 breaths there, we're moving. I'm going to give you the option for supported L stand or upward staff. So, part 1. We're going to come up by a downward facing dog and then walk the hands in. So, downward facing dog, you can stay here if you want to. Take both feet off the floor, creating a capital L with the body. And then coming down when you're ready. Let's now come down into boat. Back to sitting before we move into any more headstands or anything like that. So, boat pose. Which way should I move? This way, I think. So, constructive rest pose while sitting. Knees bent, soles of feet on the floor. Lifting the feet up. Extend them if you like. Maybe supporting under the knees as another option. First 2 fingers in around that big toe. Straighten the leg away. There's also another option. Then coming down. Oh, okay. Hell face pose. So starting in easy pose. Then we're going to take one leg over the other side. I'm going to have to move back for you, aren't I? Then taking one arm up and the other arm down, back. And I'm going to swap around with the legs and the arms. Here, I'm going to use a strap. I'll also turn side on so you can see how I'm using that strap. Trying to get the hands a little bit closer together, because this way around There's no way my arms are meeting. Absolutely no way. Okay, we're coming out when you've had enough of that. We'll now come into a wide-legged forward fold. Let me adjust my mat for about the millionth time. All right, here we go. So finding your way down to sitting. With feet wide as you feel comfortable. You might like to reach for the feet. Or place the forearms down to the floor. Oh, fireworks, lovely. And then after 4 or 5 breaths, we'll come up. And we're going to take head to knee now. So, legs together, one leg bent. Again, you might like to use a strap underneath your foot. Taking the forehead towards the knee. Keeping the upper body, even if the head loses contact, the upper body stays in contact with that leg. And where you feel the connection start to come apart, that's where we stop. Okay? Lovely. Then when you've had enough there, we're going to swap sides. Passive leg, I'm going to tuck in. Just so it's kind of out of the way. And then we're going to come up. And out. We're now going to move into crow. So, once again, we're going to revisit garland. I'm also going to grab hold of a blanket. If you have one handy, that would be lovely. If not, you can use a pillow. You won't necessarily need it during this pose, however, never hurts to have one just in case. Because crow, if you either intentionally or accidentally tip forward, you end up in tripod headstand, which is where we're heading some point soon anyway. So, hands to the floor, feet wide, toes are pointing outwards, back into that garland pose here. Starting off here. And when you're ready, hands come to the floor. You might want to take those elbows inside the knees a little bit more. And then we're lifting up onto the toes. You can spend a bit of time here. Forwards. Have a little move around through the feet. and see where you feel stable. You might be able to take your feet off. I'm not going to spend very long in there today because I know my body. I know I'm not going to be able to spend very long off the floor at all today. But that's okay. I've got to respect where I'm at. And I think that might be it for me. I don't think I'm going to be able to get much further off the floor today. Oh, that's my limit. I can't, like a second. And that's okay. That's okay. Some days I can spend a good minute there, but today is not one of those days. However, let's get into tripod headstand preparation whilst we've got this blanket here. So, coming back into crow prep, head to the floor. We've got our knees around our elbows. I hope you can see. I might have to bring the camera down a little bit more. That's better, you can see now, can't you? All right, so knees are to the elbows, and we're just lifting one leg off. Coming down and out, and we'll reset for the other side. I never spend very long in any variations of any kind of headstands. It doesn't suit me to be there for very long. I'm never one of these people that can spend hours and hours and hours upside down. I get a bit dizzy. Okay, let's do the other side. And then the other foot comes off. Lovely, then coming out. Let's now come down into crocodile. So the legs are long, stacking the head on the hands. And when you've had enough of crocodile, feel free to come up and out. And we are now going to move into something else, which will be one more headstand. However, this time I'm going to take my legs wide. So you might be able to see this quite easy, hopefully. I'm going to bring this back a little bit. It's going to be a variation of the tripod headstand. That's because that's the variation I feel most secure doing. So I'm going to come up onto my head, make my feet wide, and then extend my legs out. In. Like so, if that is not something that suits you, absolutely fine. I know that not everyone likes headstands. I find them kind of empowering. However, like I said before, I'm never going to be somebody that can spend hours and hours and hours upside down. So if that's not for you, just bringing your hands to the floor, inside the knees, and placing the head on the floor. That's fine. Then you might want to walk the feet wide. And coming down into a wide-legged forward fold. That's a great place to be too. So, there's options there. All right, let's come into lotus pose. We're almost down onto our back. So, remembering from yesterday or whenever you managed to watch the third eye video. I recorded it yesterday, but you've got half lotus, so one leg tucked into the hip. So that's an option. 2, we're just going to place the foot on the knee and stacking the other knee on the other foot. So fire log pose here. Slightly more intense is half lotus. And if you're up for it, both feet on top of both legs into full lotus. I'm holding my leg here so it stays on. I don't have a lot of flexibility through my lower body. As I've mentioned before, it's pretty much all in my upper body. It's just the way I'm built. Something I'm working on, but everybody's different. Then when you've had enough of that, we're going to swap sides. There is also the option to stay in easy pose. Oh, there you go. I'm not wrenching my leg on, I'm just supporting the top leg so I don't fall out immediately. Can come off for about a second, but that is it. Okay, now we're coming down to the floor. We are into supine hand to big toe. For this, you might like a strap. I know I definitely do, because you'll see the lack of flexibility in my lower body means I find this quite slightly less impossible than standing. However, coming down to the floor, I'll show you anyway. Now we're going to lift one leg. I'm going to support the other one, support it by bending this knee until we are up where we want to be. Lengthening the arms with this strap. Straighten the leg like this. Turn side on. So you're not looking at the bottom of my trousers. I'll also move down. And then if you want to, you can take the leg across. You'll see this better on the other side. You can keep it high or let the leg lower to the floor. If you've got slightly longer arms than me, you can reach down for the toes. Remember, every day is different, so you might find this and anything else really tricky one day, but another day, you might be able to do it absolutely no problem. Then we're going to lift the leg up, swap hands and bring it back down to neutral. Like so. Bending the other knee, unhooking the foot. Now, I'm going to keep that first leg up. Extend that second leg. I've got this other knee bent still. Keeping the other arm out. We'll take it over the side here. Oh, if you want to, see up in the air and kind of fall for a bit. But that doesn't not feel comfortable for me. So I'm going to let the leg come down to the floor and let the strap do the work. Here we're moving into constructive rest pose, then bridge pose. Constructive rest, that is with the knees bent. And then bridge pose, so we just lift the hips from there. So we're going to come out, twist, back to neutral, lowering the knees, bending both knees. We'll have 4 or 5 breaths here. From bridge, we're then moving into wheel pose. Give you options as always for that. So when you're ready to come into bridge, I'm going to press up through the hips. I'm going to walk the feet in so you can see them. So lifting the hips, the glutes are engaged, the abdominal muscles are working. And I'm going to come down. And whatever you'd like to do with your hands whilst you're in bridge, you are welcome to do. So you might like to support your hips. You might like to lace the fingers underneath. Anything else. We're now going to come into wheel pose. Again, remembering this is incredibly intense. So I'm going to stand up. Now, first of all, I'm going to show you. I gave you the option for this same thing earlier on. In camel, it was. So we'll come up. I won't move the camera because I will be back down to the floor shortly. So walking the feet away, and the hands go behind the head, walking you down that flat surface. see my head here. And coming out. Oh. Oh. Okay. I'm going to come down now so I can show you wheel pose. So first of all, if the standing variation doesn't work for you, you can come into bridge. Bridge is lovely. Bridge is a good place to be if you don't fancy going all the way up into wheel. If you do, however, placing the hands by the knees. Sorry, my elbows in front of my face a minute. So I'm hoping you can hear reasonably well. Okay. Elbows up. Walking the feet in. Shortening the gap between the body here. I'm going to press up. All the way up. Ooh. And down. There we go. I've spent less than a second up there today, but just the limitations of my body and how it is today. Other days it might not be quite so bad, but today really feeling all the inversions today. We're coming back onto my back and we're coming to fish now. All the inversions and all the really intense stuff that you might feel you're getting a bit of a head rush out of, that's all done now. So I'm going to find a position so you can see everything. It's not that easy in this small space. All right, I'm going to turn the face on for this. Extend my legs away, rounding through the shoulders, lifting the chest. On the crown of the head. And coming out. Ooh. Okay. So the key for fish is to rounding their shoulders, lifting them off, squeezing those shoulder blades together. So we're opening out the front of the body, like so. If you don't like fish, again, it is quite an intense feeling one. You can stay sitting, round the shoulders back, pressing the hands into the floor and just leaning back. Get a very similar benefit from that movement, sitting up. Okay, we are now down to the floor into reclining twist. This is our last one before we do upward facing plank, and then we are into relaxation. Okay, so reclining twist. When we did hand to big toe, kind of had a bit of a taste of it anyway. So starting off with knees bent, feet together, allowing the knees just to relax down to one side. If you want to extend that top leg away, please feel free to do so, if that feels right for you. 4 or 5 breaths on each side. When you're ready, back through neutral, over to the other side. And again, whatever you'd like to do with your arms, you might like to cactus them, bent at the elbows, be straight out on the sides. Okay, back to neutral, so knees back to the middle. Okay. And we're coming up onto the forearms to begin with. Bring yourself back up to kind of sitting. We're going to come up into upward plank. So, option 1 into upward table. Option 2, straighten the legs away. And down. Before we move into final relaxation and Shavasana, we are coming now into breath of fire or Kapalabhati breath, depending on the kind of class that you're taking and the training that your teacher has had. For me, they're one and the same. Kapalabhati is the Sanskrit word for the same breath technique. You might like to close your eyes if you're feeling a little bit self-conscious, or even just because you want to and you help to relax a little bit more. We're going to take a big breath in through the nose, all the way into the bottom of the lungs. Fill them up completely. And then we're going to pump the air out through the nose in little breaths until the lungs are empty. And we are going to spend a few moments doing that. At least 5 or 6 breaths, if not to 10. However it feels right for you. Just put my hair up. Okay, there we are. Oh. So we're going to breathe in through the nose. Any comfortable seated position. Right. When you're ready, sit up nice and tall. So I took 10 little breaths, pushing it out through my nose. I'm going to have a brief pause and then breathe in for round 2. Three more rounds. And after you've done your breath, I've done 10 there. Take your breath in and out through the nose and allow you to reset. Excuse me. Oh dear. And now we're going to move into relaxation. So if you'd like to lie down, you may lie on your front, on your back, on your side, any position that you feel comfortable doing. So if you'd rather not lay down, that's okay too. But in a comfortable seated position, if you feel safe doing so, closing the eyes. If not, just letting them rest and relax. Open just a little fraction. Just taking a moment to focus on the breath. Notice how it feels in the body, how your mind feels after that practice. Drawing your attention on your next breath to the crown of the head. Imagine the body being surrounded by a bright violet or white light. Imagine this light is coming out of the top of your head. Sending out these bright rays all around you. On your next breath in, imagine you can visualize the breath going all the way around the body, all the way down to the fingers and the toes, traveling all the way around, up the spine, through the head, and then coming out the top as we breathe out through the nose. Any sounds that you hear around you, acknowledge them, but let's not let them disturb you. Continue to focus on the breath. And with any physical sensations, acknowledge them. And if it's a feeling of discomfort, feel free to adjust your positioning to something more comfortable. When you feel ready, we're going to get some gentle movement back into the body, wriggling the fingers and the toes. And if you're lying down, if you're not already on your side, you might like to move onto one of the sides of your body. And after a breath or two there, we're going to move gently back up to sitting. Keeping the eyes closed. You find your way to a comfortable seat. Continue to notice how the breath feels. Breathe in and out. How it feels as it moves around the body. Place my hands at my heart center. Look down towards my legs. Slowly opening my eyes. When you're ready to do the same, allowing yourself to adjust to the light in the room. Forward now. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for choosing to practice with me. I hope you have found this enjoyable and relaxing. And I hope to see you in another class very soon. This one was the last in the chakra series. And I will be back with another one for you very soon. Thank you. Bye for now.